Hey everyone, welcome back to Automation. My game might look a little bit different than yours. That's because I'm in the beta. Check out my last video if you want to know what is included in that. But today I received a comment and I figure it's time to do something cool. Do a V8 to i6 and toe test them. Sounds good to me. So I've gone ahead and cloned one of my previous builds. This thing is ancient. In real life it's 1965, but it's going to be perfect for this toe test. I know it's not a truck, but it doesn't particularly matter. It just needs to be interesting. Let's make a V8, let's make it i6. I've decided to have a few limiting factors for myself, but I am going to up the car into 2020 just to make it have all of the possible things that we can have. We want to have good tires, we want to have the best that we can get. Everything else about the car I'm going to leave the same. It is leaf springs on the rear, so it should be able to tow a decent amount. Well, we'll see. And where things get interesting is really just in the engine. So let's put some limits on this to keep things orderly. I'm going to do 3 liters. Both engines will be 3 liters, so it's going to be a 3 liter 90-degree V8 and a 3 liter inline 6. I'm also going to limit myself to 300 horsepower. The torque can be whatever it needs to be. And then I want to attempt to achieve the same gearing at the top end of both engines and similar power curves, because otherwise the gearing is just going to be all screwed up. We might have to go CVT in order to get over that. So yeah, let's just not play around with that too much. So the first engine, let's make a V8. I have made a few of these. Literally every single one of these Ultimate Challenge videos I've made has had a V8 in it, so that's pretty fair. 90-degree V8, let's make it, we have so many new options. Let's go for an aluminum heavy block, just for fun. The weight difference is actually not that significant. The heavy is 22.4 and the light is 18.2. That's not much. Currently this engine is 4 liters. Again, a little bit of an arbitrary thing, but I'm going to make the engine square as to not have there be an advantage for bore and stroke. I know that's not how engines work in real life necessarily. It's just the way I've chosen to limit things. This game is a pretty good simulation of real life, but like, it's not perfect. That being said, if you like this game, you should definitely buy it. Support the devs that are putting a lot of effort into making this and making it as real as they can. They're adding a lot of stuff. There's new updates coming out, including, I'm whispering here, superchargers. There's lots of cool stuff coming soon, so buy the game on Steam. Okay, 78 and 78, both of them 0.2. Let's go overhead cam, let's go 4 valves per cylinder, give this thing a pretty decent advantage here, and we'll make the heads cast aluminum as well. Internally, okay, so we can upbore the engine if we want to. I'm not going to. We're going to stick with the solid 3 liters. The interior of this, I don't know what we're actually going to need, so I'm just going to leave it all on cast for now. We'll come back to that. I don't think we're going to need turbos in this challenge. It's going to be fairly easy to get this 300 horses out of a decent quality engine, but we could also go VVT, VVL if we need to. Fuel system is currently carbureted. It doesn't need to be carbureted. Let's just go direct injection. Maybe a per cylinder setup? Is that too much? Probably a single, right? Yeah, single. We've got an LS style intake, which is probably good enough for what we're using. We'll just stick to regular fuel. And moving on, exhaust. Let's try and keep it semi-real. We'll just go for some cast mid headers, dual exhaust, and we'll keep, oh, we have no options for catalytic converters, but we'll keep the mufflers and stuff here. Alright, so the engine is making a cool 173.9 horsepower. They have changed this graph. It looks a little bit different than it used to. Stress and stuff looks a little bit different as well. You can see our exhaust is good. Intake manifold's good. Everything here seems fine. I think it's going to be up to an AI tune. Let's just see what it'll do for us with power. 218. That's a little bit better, but I think we can do better than that. Okay, I think I've got it. We're a little bit unreliable with the power density issues, but that's a new mechanic in this game that I'm not extremely familiar with. This is only the second car I've made with it, and it's the only one where I've actually tried to think about that. That being said, 300 horsepower at 7,600 RPM, and that's 293.1 Newton meters of torque at 5,600 RPM, I believe. That should be good. So the goal here is really just to get a very similar power threshold up there. We need 300 horsepower at 7,600 RPM, or like darn close to that, with the i6. Otherwise, this whole setup isn't going to work. That being said, here's engine number 1. Now let's fix the rest of the car. So paint, obviously we need to differentiate these cars. They need to look something different. I love the bright yellow, but I think I've been doing like orange for V8s. Let's go pink. Aesthetically, we don't actually need to change anything. It just needs to have a tow hook. It does not have one, and I know I'm gonna forget. So there we go. Trailer hitch attached. Okay, here's where things are gonna get difficult. I need to make sure that this stuff is right. The way that this game works now is we have a full-on setup, lots of different options for gearing, including an advanced mode where we can change every ratio. This is a lot of fun, but it also is a lot more detail, and we can also adjust it based on speed as well. So I'm thinking we go 4x4, which is gonna be cool. Manual transmission, let's do a 6-speed manual. That'll give us at least 1 extra gear for towing. Should be a fairly low first gear. And looking at the graphs, let's just see where we're at. So top speed currently is 275. Looks like this is pretty much the sweet spot, somewhere around 300k. Just because that would be 280 kilometers an hour top speed. That's already way too fast. We do have a pretty good first gear at 45 kilometers an hour. I think I might be able to lower that down a little bit, and we'll have a much higher first gear ratio. I'm going to try and keep this exactly the same with the other one, so hopefully this works. When it comes to the spread, I think we can lower that down a little bit. Hopefully 65 is decent. Again, this is one of my only like second time playing with this. First time trying to make a serious vehicle, but these are the gear ratios here for all, well, that's the speed, but here's the gear ratios here for our car. Hopefully that's reasonable. I think the top speed here is a little bit high, but should be okay. I'm fine with a manual locker. We can lock the gears as we need to, and everything here should be good. Power split is always going to be rear-wheel drive until we put it into four-wheel drive. That being said, four-wheel drive, we got to do something about these wheels. These are chunky off-road. I'm going to switch to medium compounds. Is that going to help with our issues here? Okay, the problems with this car are as follows. Brakes suffer from brake fade. Brakes suffer from more brake fade. We'll fix that. Front ride frequency. Roll angle is high. Front tires are too narrow. No power steering, brakes are slow. Okay, it has a few issues. Thankfully, wheel spin is not one of them. That being said, we're going to go up to 215s on a square setup. Should give us a little bit better traction, a little bit better everything. You can see our sportiness went up significantly. Those are big wheels for a car like this, but I think it'll work out well. We might lower it down just a little bit. Yeah, so it has drum brakes on the front and the back. We just cannot let that slide. We're going to go 2-piston fronts and 2-piston rears, and that should hopefully fix half of the problems down here, the size of which will be the largest size that they can get. Aerodynamics, don't care. Interior, good. Driver's aids and safety, just because it's going to complain like crazy unless we do it. I'm going to put on some electric power steering, and we'll give it traction control for fun. With that, I think it's important to take a look at the stats, because the stats are fun. I have not been doing this enough as we've been doing these comparisons, but let's go through some of the fun stuff. So, don't worry about this. Design. So we have a 300 horsepower at 7,600 RPM, and the red line is 77, good enough. 3-liter V8. Everything good here except for the weight. Most of it is on the front, like a significant amount of it is on the front, which is funny because this car is rear-wheel drive, and we do weigh 1,784 kilos. Yikes. Fuel economy, that's a fun one. 12.2 liters per 100 Ks fuel economy, and this thing costs $19,700. Not bad overall. Remember those stats as we get into round 2. Alright, so you remember this lovely 300 horsepower 3-liter V8. Well, let's modify it. It's going to be an inline 6 now, and it looks fairly interesting. Thankfully, this actually does fit in the car, which is probably the best part, and we can still get 4-wheel drive. Now, let's keep everything the same, except try and get this displacement as square as it can be. Obviously, the bore and the stroke have to be larger. We have less cylinders to make up that space, but we get 8686 and 2997. I know it is like very, very slightly less than 3 liters, but this is the best I can do to keep it square. Otherwise, it ends up too big. So somewhere here, this is the perfect spot. Same thing again, overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, aluminum head, aluminum heavy, all that stuff is going to stay the same. We'll leave this the same, and everything else actually, until we see what kind of power it makes. 257, not bad. If I give it an AI tune, it's basically just going to fix these red issues over here for me. 255 at 6,000 RPM. Okay, let's raise this thing up a little bit higher because I know I can do more. Okay, first thing I'm noticing with the current setup, the pistons, the conrods, and the crank cannot rev that high, so obviously we need to upgrade the quality of these components. Let's go forged steel light for the crank. That's good enough. Maybe forged light for the conrods, and that's good enough. And then forged light pistons, I guess. Okay, that pretty much fixed it. Easy way to fix valve float is up the springs and lifters. And then, oh my goodness, it's darn close, and I haven't even done anything yet. I'm actually gonna have to like tune this thing down in order to get to the point that I want to be at. Yeah, we have some serious restrictions, but these restrictions are also keeping us in place here. So if I turn this up, we're probably going to shoot up in the power. Yep, there it is. Man, we are so darn close to where I want to be. That is 300 horsepower at 7,400 RPM. It's a little bit less, but that difference is going to make a difference. So I'm going to have to knock some stuff down in order to tune this thing specifically to go higher RPM. Okay, so we got the correct RPM going. Our torque is going to be different, but as long as we keep this the same, it's going to be fine. Unfortunately, because this engine is just so darn strong for whatever reason, we are going to have to tone it down ever so slightly. So, in an attempt to do that, I'm going to cause restriction. Easy way to do that, first we just knock down the fuel to regular. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make in drivability. I'm very curious actually to see if it matters at all. But that net us basically like 7 horsepower off the top. And then intake, ooh, I don't know if I want to do this or not. Performance mid. Oh, that was garbage. Okay, terrible idea, terrible. All right, there it is. There it is. I just had to retard the timing a lot. 300 horsepower at 7,600 RPM. That is exactly the same as the other car, or other engine, I should say, with 299 Newton meters of torque at 6,900 RPM. The torque curve has a little bit of a bump in it, but everything else here is looking pretty good. Okay, so interesting stuff to consider. The way the V8 is tuned, it actually makes slightly more, actually slightly less. This is the V8 that I'm looking at now. Very slightly less torque, but it hits lower. So the torque on the V8, you can see the torque max is 5,600 RPM, whereas the torque max on the i6 is 6,900 RPM, but the i6 does have a really level spot there too, so it's very, very similar. The way that these are going to drive is going to be pretty much the same, I would expect. But again, there's only really one way to find out, and that's to get into beamng. So let's run through the rest of this one and then hop in there and drive them. By this one, I meant the non-pink one, because pink is, it's too much, okay? We gotta change it. Basic color mode, let's go pink and blue, yeah. I don't know. Drivetrain, again, the gearing should be pretty much the same. The top speed here is actually higher, which is interesting, but again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to touch this. I gotta do a comparison between these in the ratios. I think that's the only way to get this right. I remember the final drive is the same of the V8, so the i6 is just faster, which is interesting. Similar 0 to 60, but faster. One thing I'm realizing is with the advanced settings that we have, we can actually change the gear ratios individually, so that means I can make the gearing the same just by pulling the ratios to the same area, which makes it a lot easier. This is the V8, so apparently I was misremembering because everything seems to be very similar. I'm looking at the gear ratios for the 6 and the 8 side by side, and they are exactly the same. So there is no gearing advantage here. Everything is done the same. I suspect, drop your theory in the comments, but these are going to be super darn similar. Let's go to beamng. Oh yeah, I just want to point out before we go too far, weight, by the way, 1763, 61 front, 39 rear, slightly different. And then going over to the statistics, specifically the detailed stats, slightly better fuel economy on the i6 and a slightly different cost as well. Just for clarity. Before we go too far, I just want to point out that I'm recording this kind of late, so my mind is not all here. That's okay though. This is the V8 one. You can kind of tell just by listening to this. Oh my goodness. V8 for days, boys. And then in rowdiness, we also have the i6. Hey, it sounds a little different, but it still sounds good. Man, I like the way that the engines sound in this game. I know it's not super realistic or anything like that, but it is pleasing to the ears. So with very similar weight, exactly the same gear ratios, exactly the same power, very similar torque, what is the difference going to be between the i6 and the V8? I mean, there's really only one way, or actually several, to find out. We're going to be doing some testing today. First things first, I'm on a controller. I'm in beamng, and before we get started, I just wanted to say, if you've been enjoying this video and you want to see more stuff like this, check out the rest of my channel, see some of the other comparison videos I've made, and also subscribe and like this video. Obviously, comment down below if you have some suggestions, please and thank you. Alright, let's take it for a spin. We have H2. Oh, it's transfer case. Okay, let's go into... good. We do have the option to go off with this one. I'm just going to go no ESC and see how I can drive. But we're going to start off simple. Synchronizer damage already. That's not good. Maybe I'm banging gears a little too quick. I absolutely did not make this thing for speed. It is entirely made for towing things, and... oh man, so much synchronizer damage. Am I just like... what's going on? I've never seen that before in this game. Yeah, maybe too much power for the gearbox or something like that. But my point is that this was not made to go around the track. Not at all. It pulls darn hard though with this i6. A little bit different weight distribution, which is kind of interesting. I believe the i6 might be heavier. Am I incorrect in that statement? I've already forgotten the actual numbers, to be honest with you. But we're wallowing around off-road suspension, trees. This is where I'm meant to be. I mean, you can just tell when I accelerate how much the back end goes up. Like this was not made for the track. However, I have some ideas. Speed, power, friendship. Okay, not too much friendship. Okay. Well, four-wheel drive, it pulls pretty darn hard. I mean, I'm still running medium compound tires or whatever. It's not a Sportster by any means. We can rev it up, we can do burnouts. Like 300 horses in a car like this is a bit of fun. Just a little bit. Alright, it's V8 time. Let's turn the traction control off. The transfer case is in a different position on this one, which is awkward. I'm probably going to mess that up a few times. Start her up. Oh, yes. I forgot to put a second exhaust pipe on it, so she's just coming straight out the bumper. Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? The V8 feels a little bit slower off the line. I think a drag race is going to be the only way that we actually tell the difference between these two in terms of actual, like, acceleration. But for a track test, I don't know if that's actually important for this one. Understeer is absolutely a thing. I mean, I am driving four-wheel drive, so it's basically an all-wheel drive car with unlocked diffs at the moment, but we can definitely lock them up as necessary. That's part of the fun of the manual system. Man, big, burly V8s. Man, I have no problem with those. Although this being a 3-liter, it's not exactly big. It is tiny, and it is made out of aluminum as well, so I don't know. It's not the biggest, burliest iron block that you can think of. The reason I chose 300 horsepower was I just wanted to get something that's pretty much guaranteed to tow whatever I can throw at it in this game. It feels like it's going to be more down to torque than anything, but maybe I could have set a torque goal. I could do that next time, I guess. Yeah, the V8 car feels different. Like, it definitely... it's hard to describe. It just doesn't quite feel the same. The i6, even though the gearing is exactly the same, the i6 burns tires off the line, and the V8 is a little bit more sluggish, so I'm guessing our power is not made quite as low, or at least not at the beginning. Like, i6s are used in heavy machinery and dump trucks, and like there's a lot of Cummins i6 diesel engines. They're made that way for a reason, right? Like the i6 engines make good power, and they definitely make good torque, and that's the big bonus. So, shall we see what they're like on the drag strip? Alright, let's do a drag race on the West Coast map. That's where I am. This is my favorite map in the game. It's just a fun map. I believe that the AI will probably start in two-wheel drive, so we're gonna start off in two-wheel drive as well, but I will switch to four-wheel drive after one run each with these cars, just to see kind of what that's like. One thing to do though is definitely take off the ESC, and we could also lock the front and rear diff. That might make a difference. However, full-on drag race, Unladen, let's do it. And just for fun, let's go up against the V8 car, because it's pink, and also I need to destroy it. I don't think I'm going to be able to. With the i6, I don't know, is it going to be faster? It may be... oh wow, it came out white. That's awkward, okay. I feel like gearbox is set to realistic. Oh, please, no. Maybe this was a mistake on my part, because I'm probably going to thrash the box as we go through this. Game, please. Okay, we made it. Let her burn out a little bit. Second gear. That's pretty good. I don't care about synchronizer damage. This is a one-pole type of deal. Actually, I'm not even sure that four-wheel drive will give us that much advantage. We have good traction on this surface. 14-1, and the AI didn't finish? Or did they finish? I don't know. I might have missed that time. Oh, no, okay, they got 15-2. That's not too bad. I actually won that one. Let's try that again. I'm going to give myself high four-wheel drive just to see if that makes any difference at all. I'm going to lock myself down into first. That was really good shifting on that first run, so I'm just going to try this again and see if I can do any better. The funny thing, though, the V8 car was slower. Just keep that in mind. Oh, I missed it off the line. I know, I'm in four-wheel drive, so I'm totally cheating. That guy's in two-wheel drive. Fourth gear, we're pulling pretty hard. This is where you'd be shifting out of four-wheel drive. 13.795. That is definitely faster. And I'm burning gears again. Yeah, it's definitely faster in four-wheel drive. I'm curious to see what our opponent gets here. 15.3 again. Very consistent and absolutely destroyed. Alright, it's V8 time. I know that car is not looking as blue as it should, but it's time to absolutely thrash this i6 with my V8. This is two-wheel drive, ESC off, diffs unlocked. Maybe it'll make a difference, hopefully. You just creep up to the line, a little touch of the old gas. Oh, I started in second. I'm an absolute idiot. I'm gonna have to redo this run. However, I'm catching up. This guy is misshifting. I'm gonna pass him even though I accidentally started in second. 14.6. Okay, so something to consider is the AI is a lot more consistent with their shifts than I am. So them driving the i6 there, they were faster with the i6 than they were with the V8. I believe the other times were like 15.3 for the V8 for the AI, and now they're getting 15.08, so that is decently faster. I guess the i6 is faster in acceleration. That's not surprising, but I'm not doing bad. 14.6, even though I missed it. I'm going to do it one more time without missing a shift, and then we'll see what I can do. Yeah, it's a 14.3 for me without the without the miss shift. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's see what the AI did on their second attempt. Okay, maybe they didn't do anything at all. They are absolutely gone. Four-wheel drive. Let's try it like this before we try a little bit of towing. See how well it does with that. I don't have any good metric for towing. We're literally just going to tow something and see how it feels. And... hey, shift. Hey... I bogged down a little bit in first. Oh my goodness, that's fourth. Wow, I am absolutely destroying him. 13.9. Yeah. It's like, it's a very slight difference, but the i6 is faster in the drag racing. Huh. That's pretty cool. I didn't think that this would actually happen. Well, 15.1, I mean, that's not terrible. Again, it beats its previous times with the V8. So let's start off by pulling a trailer in Johnson Valley. This trailer just happens to be an enclosed one, and it is loaded with 2,100 kilograms of planks. It is this one here. Yeah, it's one of the new additions to the game. They have a bunch of cool stuff, including unloaded, and yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in these, but planks. Lots and lots of planks. We also have tilt deck trailers, including 7,000 kilos of bumper pull planks. You know we gotta try it. Oh my goodness, that is absolutely gigantic, and I cannot wait to pull it. Alright, let's see what we can do with the old V8. Now again, I mentioned this previously, but this is not scientific. I'm gonna put it into four-wheel drive. That'll give us the best chance we can get at pulling this thing around. I'm hoping for the best for my own sake, because this could go very poorly. Now, to hook up a trailer in beamng, all you gotta do is hit L, have a tow hitch, and then back her on in. Keep forgetting that this is a manual transmission, so... By the way, the softness of the rear end of this, we're going to be scraping the ground for this entire journey. There is absolutely no way around that. This vehicle was not made for this kind of weight. Also, that trailer will not stop jiggling back there, which is hilarious. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no, I've already wrecked the trailer. I just smashed it into something. But... I mean, it pulls good, like, I'm having no issues, other than the fact that it's scraping on the ground. We're pulling this with ease, boys, no problems at all. There is a little bit of wiggling going on here. Power-wise, we're fine. Chassis-wise, definitely not fine. Trying to keep her on the road here, trying to keep her stable is probably the hardest. Oh my goodness. I'm going to do something that I would normally not do, and that is, I'm going to increase the rear height offset of the suspension. I want to see how much difference that makes. Yes, it's so high. Okay, now we can probably take a little bit more load. Okay, it's hooked up. There we go. That's not quite the way I imagined this going, but at least it's not scraping on the ground. That's the best part. The rear suspension is stiffer than like 2 sticks of iron, and that's it, no springs. But at least we're able to drive without scraping on the floor. I know some people would be like up in arms about this, so yeah, I'm making a change, guys, don't worry. That being said, other than the synchronizers being constantly damaged every time I shift gears, like this thing pulls this 21,000, we're not there yet, but 2,100 kilos of planks without any issues. Like, we're doing good right now. This is steady, this is stable. I've got no problems. Even accelerating, as much as I can't do that at the moment because I just destroyed the trailer, acceleration is not as bad as it might seem. Again, starting in high first gear, full throttle. Yeah, no, we're good, we're good. Alright, let's try something a little bit more bonkers, perhaps. So this trailer over here weighs basically triple what that other trailer does. I'm sure it weighs more because the trailer itself is likely extremely heavy. That being said, it is darn close to where I want to be, so if we can back her up, hit the old L, and A, okay, good. Still in four-wheel drive, still the same setup. We're pulling the planks. I think this is the heaviest trailer in the game. Oh no, okay, as soon as you get off, we do not have the momentum to stop that weight. That's too much for me. And I am stuck jackknifed as well, which is beautiful. I have created some kind of magical trailer where they are stacked together, and I don't know how I feel about it. It seems to be very broken. beamng, you never cease to amaze me. What is going on here? I think it's just stuck underground, so that's why it's popped up like this. Either way, we can't do anything about it. There we go. Okay, I'm latched on properly this time. I got the trailer out of the ground. Diffs are locked on the front and the rear, which is going to affect our ability to turn. That's not really the problem here. It's more stopping a load this heavy without actually having any air brakes. Driving on dirt here, probably not the best idea, but speed is not exactly going to happen either. This is not as much a tow test as it is a, I don't know, I just want to see what these things are actually capable of. full throttle, second gear, we're spinning wheels and stuff. Top speed might be around 30 or 40 kilometers an hour. I don't think we're going to get much higher than that with a load like this. But stopping is just kind of not going to happen. That's the best way to put it. Yeah, second gear is, I think, all we can get. We're going downhill right now, so that's kind of cheating. Oh, please hold it together. Probably want to be up in third here instead of having so much wheel speed. And that's probably it. Yeah, that's definitely it. We are absolutely screwed. Boys, after that amusing failure of not even being able to get out of sight of the gas station, let's try the i6. Alright, keeping things fair, let's start off with the small trailer. Boo. But it is more fair, and also I don't have the big suspension raise thing on yet. I'm not sure it makes that much of a difference. Oh my goodness. Well, that was interesting. I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen. There we go. Okay, clipped together properly, and the suspension is on the bottom. This is in four-wheel drive, by the way, so yeah, I mean, we're getting the best that we can get here. It pulls this trailer without much issue, just kind of as you would expect. This is what you see on most freeways. You probably want to run away from anybody trying to tow a big trailer like this with a minivan. Top speed going uphill here in third gear is about 120. I bet I could do more though. Fourth gear, full speed. You know what? Again, i6 versus V8. That was the whole point of this video at the beginning, but now it's just a playground. I don't really feel any significant difference. Like, it pretty much just feels exactly the same. And I wonder if you're more keen and you're watching the stats, what's the real difference between these two? Like, there isn't that much, is there? Out of curiosity, I'm going to see what it's like to tow the big boy with very, very soft suspension. I'm not sure it's even possible because the thing would be in the ground, but I don't know. I just want to give it a try, see what it's like. Yeah, as the thing goes down, we just get further and further into the ground. The front end basically means we have no steering when this much weight is on the back. Let's go for it. Oh, yes. Okay, so the lift is doing a lot more than I thought it was. In fact, it might be doing the heavy lifting, as it were. With no real strong metrics to go by other than the fact that the i6 won the drag race, I think we have to give this challenge to the i6. It has finally dethroned the V8, at least at something, although I know that there's always ways to improve this, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say in the comments. And obviously, if you like this video, then like it and subscribe. There are 2 more of these very similar ideas that I've done previously that you should definitely check out with i4s and varying levels of horsepower and other gearing issues and things. But I had a ton of fun making this video, and I hope that you had a fun watching it. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys again soon, but you know, I just had to do it. We're doing 230 kilometers an hour in a vehicle that is basically floating on the suspension. What can happen next, boys? I don't think it's gonna end well, just to be honest with you. The light poles are looking awful friendly right now. That was worth the price of admission alone, was it not? See you guys again next week. Tiburon content to come. I did not have time to do it this week, but Tiburon content to come. I just want to give a special shout out to those who are in the V8 tier of my YouTube join button members. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I appreciate you a lot. Overlord, Terry01, Sinlab, J Pope, Davis Heister, Baja Blast, Goofy Plays, Phoenix Shark, Mancini Country, Shadow Jasper, I Look Valheim Milk. Thank you everybody for watching. And also, if you're staying this far into the video, check out my Patreon, support me there, and yeah, more stuff coming up, IRL stuff. I'm up late at night recording these videos because I have no time, but I gotta get these things done, and I'm trying my best, so thank you. See you guys again soon.